In this video we will talk about interest rates and exchange rates. Economic theory tells us that interest rates reflect expectations about likely future inflation rates. In countries where inflation is expected to be high, interest rates also will be high, because investors want compensation for the decline in the value of their money. This relationship was first formalized by economist Fischer and is referred to as Fischer effect. The Fischer effect states that the country's nominal interest rate, lowercase I, is the sum of the required real rate of interest, R, and the expected rate of inflation, over the period for which the funds are to be lent, denoted by uppercase I. More formally, I equals R plus I. For example, if the real rate of interest in a country is 5%, and annual inflation is expected to be 10%, the nominal interest rate will be 15%. As predicted by the Fischer effect, a strong relationship seems to exist between inflation rates and interest rates. We can take this further and consider how it applies in a world of many countries and unrestricted capital flows. When investors are free to transfer capital between countries, real interest rates will be the same in every country. If differences in real interest rates did emerge between countries, arbitrage would soon equalize them. For example, if the real interest rate in Japan was 10% and only 6% in the United States, it would pay investors to borrow money in the United States and invest it in Japan. The resulting increase in the demand for money in Japan would lower the real interest rate there. This would continue until the two sets of real interest rates were equalized. It follows from the Fischer effect that if the real interest rates is the same worldwide, any difference in interest rates between countries reflects differing expectations about inflation rates. Thus, if the expected rate of inflation in the United States is greater than that in Japan, U.S. nominal rates will be greater than Japan. Because we know from the purchasing power parity or PPP theory that there is a link, at least in theory, between inflation and exchange rates, and because interest rates reflect expectations about inflation. The international Fischer effect states that for any two countries, the spot exchange rate should change in equal amount but in the opposite direction to the difference in nominal interest rates between the two countries. Stated more formally, the change in the spot exchange rate between the United States and Japan, for example, can be modeled as follows: S1 minus S2 divided by S2 multiplied by 100 equals $I minus I yen, where $I and I yen are the respective nominal interest rates in the United States and Japan. S1 is the spot exchange rate at the beginning of the period, and S2 is the spot exchange rate at the end of the period. If the U.S. nominal interest rate is higher than Japan's, reflecting greater expected inflation rates, the value of the dollar against the yen should fall by that interest-rated differential in the future. So, if the interest rate in the US is 10% and in Japan it is 6%, we would expect the value of the dollar to depreciate by 4% against the Japanese yen. Do interest rate differentials help predict future currency movements? The evidence is mixed. As in the case of PPP theory, in the long run, there seems to be a relationship between interest rate differentials and subsequent changes in spot exchange rates. However, considerable short-run deviation occur. Like PPP, the international Fischer effect is not a good predictor of short-run changes in spot exchange rates.